Today's episode is sponsored by the John Naka Memorial Exhibit, formerly the Non-Pukai Exhibit. This show's going down August 16th and 17th, 2025 at the George Dozaki Gallery in Los Angeles. It's the only juried show in Southern California. Anybody can submit trees. The goal is to have a small but high quality show with free entry for the public. You can find out more information at nakamemorialexhibit.com. Once again, that's nakamemorialexhibit.com. I am absolutely looking forward to this show, and I hope to see you there.
The baby trees.
Bonsai. Bonsai.
Bonsai. Bonsai.
Close enough.
The Black Pondo Podcast.
Bonsai. 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 Bonsai.
Bonsai.
Yeah.
The Black Pondo Podcast.
What was your first bonsai book?
Oh, it was like a sunset.
I had the
garden.
same one.
Yeah, I went to a thrift store and found a bunch of them. You know, and the bonsai with American trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all the information was like not really what we would follow today. But yeah, I was excited at the time about it.
I feel like books up until now have been pretty not the best resource for learning bonsai. I mean, they just have always seemed a little bit outdated and a little bit underwhelming. But have you checked out Jonas's new book?
I have, yeah. I have a copy of it that Peter gave me, actually. And I haven't read the whole thing yet, but it seems like the way it's designed is really good. It seems like it's more meant to, help people kind of think through what they're doing rather than just giving, prescriptive instructions.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's a really solid foundation of knowledge. I wish if I would have had that one instead of the Sunset book, I feel like it would have just leveled me up right away. It's really well done. I feel like he did an awesome job. And a lot of the pictures are from Peter's backyard, Peter T's backyard, it looks like.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of those trees in the book, yeah.
Yeah, Peter and Jeff's trees, I noticed.
Yeah, primarily Jeff's trees that Peter has worked on with Jeff for a long time. So.
Awesome. Very cool. And so how old are you now, and how old were you when you got into bonsai?
I'm 34 now. And so I was, what is that, like 28?
28, okay.
27? I don't actually, something around there. Yeah, it was 2018, I think. So however old I was.
Sweet, okay.
That year.
And then did you get into clubs or like as bonsai progressed for you? And when did the Japanese gardening come into play?
Yeah, it happened very soon afterwards. So I started, I just got interested and started taking horticulture classes at Merritt College in Oakland. And I was kind of feeling ready for a career change from doing music full time, never going outside in the daylight kind of thing. And I kind of looked at some jobs and it was everything said like, oh, if you take classes from Merritt College, we'll basically like hire you. I did. I started taking classes there, and within like 2 weeks, I responded to an ad for someone who needed just someone to help in their garden, an older woman. And that ended up being Betneri, she also did bonsai. And had like a really nice Japanese garden that was built by Bill Castellan.
Wow. Oh, sweet.
And so just like right from the get-go, I like kind of got involved in that. And she, really helped me get, hooked me up with the club, both for the bonsai club, which was the East Bay Bonsai Club, and also with the Aesthetic Pruning Club and the Aesthetic Pruning Association. So,
that's so cool.
Yeah, so she like really helped me get just into it really quickly, and from doing stuff at Merritt College, I was able to get a lot of hands-on experience working with trees and horticulture and all that.
Awesome. Yeah. Very nice. And then, so how did you end up linking up with Peter T?
It was after I'd moved to Folsom, I was pruning a tree for a client, and she, I guess, was communicating with someone about a study group with Peter. She was like, and she just asked me, she was like, oh, would you be interested in being in this study group? Oh, we need one more person. And I was just like, yes, definitely. Because I had become familiar with Peter's work at that time. And I was kind of new in the area, needed a teacher. And I was like, obviously I would love to study with Peter.
Yeah.
So I was in that study group for a while before I started the apprenticeship.
Okay. And so how long have you been an apprentice under Peter T now?
So I started full-time in October, pretty much the week before the expo. So what is that, like 6 months about?
Yeah.
But I actually started kind of part-time apprenticing for him in March last year. So I was coming between 2 and 4 days a week.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say your goal is to become a bonsai professional after the apprenticeship?
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal. Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. Yeah. Peter and I, we were podcasting last night, and we've been talking about how it just seems to both of us that there could be a lot of room for a lot more bonsai professionals, especially in California. There's just such a large population. There's so much interest. And I think that professionals are really driving the quality of bonsai forward. And I think that there's a lot of room for them. And so I think that you're in a perfect spot, and really excited to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's true. It seems true to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there, at this point in your bonsai journey, is there, like, what would you imagine? What are your long-term goals with bonsai, or what would you imagine your future with bonsai to look like?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still open to, my preferences changing and everything. But right now I'm kind of leaning towards, having my own garden where I can, work on high-level trees, both of my own and clients, of course. And probably doing a mix of teaching, working with clients, maybe developing and selling trees. And I think I probably want to do, not as a full-time thing, but I think I'd like to do some collecting and growing. Maybe one or the other. We'll see how time works out. Yeah, I think I'd like to, somehow be getting new material out there as well.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's another massive hole, I feel like, in the area that we need, the bonsai community needs, we need really good material. I kind of feel like we more so need people growing trees from seed cutting and air layer trunks. Although collecting, we can't use it, too much high quality Yamadori as well. We've got some really good collectors. I feel like there are people that are growing trees and a lot of younger things, but I think just like producing really high quality trunks is something that we're lacking. There's just not enough people doing that.
Definitely. Yeah. We could have like 10 times as much, I think, and we would still want more.
Absolutely. So tell me, why did you pick Peter T?
I mean, so when I was at the Pacific Bonsai Expo, the first one, I had heard of Peter, and I kind of knew who he was, and people talked very highly of him in the Bay Area. But I just kept walking up to different trees and being like, "Oh, I really like this tree. Who's this?" It's like, "Oh, Jeff Stern." Then I'd walk up to another one. Like, "Oh, this tree's really cool. Who's this?" It's like, "Oh, Jeff Stern."
Yeah.
Like it just kept, being one after another. Either Jeff's trees or one of Peter's other clients. And it seemed really clear to me that he was maybe the most technically advanced bonsai practitioner to my eye.
Yeah.
And also, he's local to where I was. So that made a huge difference.
Most definitely. Yeah. Is there something particular about his trees that you find really attractive?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. I feel like what really makes Peter's trees great is the culmination of like all of the attention to detail in all the different aspects of the tree. That leads to that really high level of refinement. I guess that's what I'd say. It's the level of refinement. Is really what I think sets him apart. Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Hard to explain all the nuances and the fine detail of what he's able to achieve, but his trees are just on an incredible level.
Yeah, totally. And there's such a diversity too of species that he's really good with. Like he's really good with juniper. He's also great with deciduous. His work with redwoods is amazing.
Yeah,
oaks. Just
completely agree.
Seems to get it all.
Yeah, most definitely. He has got a very wide range, and also horticulturally, I mean, just everything in the garden always looks incredible.
Yeah.
People bring him sick trees all the time, and he's just always rebounding those trees and getting them back into health, which I don't know if he likes doing that or not. I'm not sure, but he's really good at it.
Yeah, I don't think he minds doing it at all. Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. And so what's a day-to-day look like as an apprentice under Peter T?
Well, I usually show up at 8 o'clock, and if Peter is here, I just do whatever he tells me all day. No, it's a really wide variety of things. Like today and yesterday, I've just been helping put down mulch and stuff in the courtyard, kind of making that look nice. So there's some garden upkeep tasks, but there's a lot of tree work too that he has me doing. So right now it's a lot of defoliating, pinching, cutting back, that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it's hard. Every day's different, really. Some days we'll go drive somewhere to look at trees that someone has for sale or something like that. Yeah, or, going to a show or something. Yeah, it's different every day, so which is really nice.
Has your apprenticeship changed since you first started? Like when you were just part-time compared to now?
Yeah, definitely. And Peter trusts me with a lot more stuff. I have a little more responsibility. When Peter is away working with clients and things, a lot of times I stay here and I'm in charge of watering the garden and that kind of thing. Whereas before he would just run the irrigation system. Yeah, and he leaves me trees to work on, things like that. Just generally more responsibility. Yeah. And a little more trust, I think.
Great. I didn't ask you, what are your favorite types of trees, your favorite species?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of changes depending on what I'm working on. So right now we're doing a lot of deciduous stuff, and I'm feeling excited about deciduous trees. But yeah, I think kind of like we've talked about before, I really love oaks. That might be my favorite. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy pines too. Junipers obviously have a lot to offer.
Nice. Yeah. So you like the majority of the types of trees Peter has in his yard?
Yeah. Awesome. I don't think there's any type of tree that I dislike.
Yeah.
They all have their own interest.
That's great. And you were telling me earlier, particularly though, you're very interested in California natives, would you say?
Yeah, I would. Although it's interesting though, we were talking about that kind of in the context of plants in general. I feel like the reasons to grow natives in a garden are very different than for bonsai. Because, in your garden, you grow them because, they're just easy to grow if they're growing them where they, in the right, spot they would naturally grow in. You basically don't have to worry about pests. There's almost no pest or disease management, a little bit, especially during establishment. And then they also have a lot of wildlife value. So we're trying to attract birds and pollinators, caterpillars. But yeah, with bonsai, all of that kind of changes once you put it in a pot. Also being drought tolerant.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
A native plant in a pot, suddenly like oaks, you have to water them a ton. So that's not a reason to do it.
Yeah. Whereas oaks are pretty self-sufficient in terms of watering, right? I mean,
they can be very drought tolerant, very low water once they're established.
Yeah. That's like a lot of California natives, like manzanita as well. You water them for the first year and then really back off, right? That's kind of
exactly. Yeah, maybe 2 years you water it a little more, but
yeah,
you can't do that with bonsai. Those adaptations just aren't in place when they're in a little pot, and
for sure.
Yeah, it's not really helpful to have caterpillars eating your plants. Bonsai.
That is true.
And they, they become more susceptible to pests too. So it's interesting that all those reasons kind of change. So I still really like them, but it's more just because they're just plants that I like, that I see, that I think are cool out in the landscape.
How did you get into California natives?
There was a lot of that going on at Merritt College.
Yeah.
When I was there. And it just seemed so, it seemed very clear that it was just a very functional and also beneficial way to garden. So I just got into that. I took some classes with some of the people that specialized in native plants, and just
sweet. Yeah. When I was young, I joined Boy Scouts and we got into backpacking. I was really lucky. My scoutmaster his passion was backpacking, and his son was my age. And so he took all these little Boy Scouts out all over California. Primarily, we would go to the Sierra, all over the Sierra, and then also around locally, Los Padres National Forest is on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
And so I think without really realizing, I would see all the native plants on our backpacking trips and hikes. And I wasn't that into it back then when I was a little kid. But I think as I got older, it just helped me to appreciate all those. So I've always been really into California natives. And then after college, when I got into bonsai, I was into California natives again. And there's this really cool native nursery called Las Politas.
Oh, I know them from their website.
Yeah. They have a cool website that they've built over a long period of time with lots of good info.
Lots of info.
And so I go up there and I talk to the owner of the nursery, and she helps me out, gives me tips, and I buy a bunch of trees from her, or little plants mostly for accents now, but I was trying to make a bunch of it bonsai, and she would always tell me that I'm a tree torturer.
Yeah.
So, you know.
People think that.
Totally. Yeah. Well, that's cool. And so you do California native gardening, but you have a Japanese influence in the gardens that you've designed?
Yeah. So I do like stonework too, which I also learned, Bill Castellan, who I mentioned earlier, but he's a really amazing garden builder.
His work
Japanese
is
garden builder in the Bay Area.
Incredible. Do you know where he studied? Or how he got so talented?
Yeah, so I worked with Masi Mizumi.
Okay.
And that I think is how he first got into it. And I believe he's also gone to Japan quite a few times to study. So I haven't worked with Bill a ton, but he teaches a class through the pruning club. That's just like a one-day class where he goes over the techniques for moving boulders and things like that. So I took that from him. And then kind of at the same time, my wife was working as a stonemason.
No way.
Yeah. For a company that built really nice, more retaining walls and patios and that kind of thing. And that guy actually also studied in Japan. He also kind of had a more traditional Western stone background, I think. So I learned a lot from my wife also.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and then also, I've read a lot of books and things.
Yeah.
And so I try to, use all those design concepts in my garden designs, but, using all native plants. And then, there's a lot of functional things about Japanese gardens that don't work for most people. Just the maintenance is very high for a Japanese garden. That's part of what makes it so special. But most people, at least my clients that I've had, they don't want to do that kind of upkeep. So
yeah,
that's
very understandable.
Informs a lot of the design too. So I wouldn't really call my gardens Japanese gardens, but there is I take pretty much all of my design cues from Japanese garden concepts. Yeah.
Yeah, I really actually I'm into that, and I feel like my little bonsai sanctuary area has a lot of that going on. I have cool. The main plant that I have is manzanita, which is one of my favorite California natives.
Yeah.
And
so much character.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think I'm kind of going for a California native type space, but also with a Japanese influence, because I love Japanese gardens as well, but I don't want a straight up Japanese garden, traditional Japanese garden. So I think that's so cool, and I really like that. I've seen Bill Costello. Is that how you say
Castellan.
Castellan. Bill Castellan. He has an Instagram and a Facebook that I follow, and I just love looking at his work. And he's done some things where he mixes manzanita with these cool boulders, and then there's a black pine and this really nice stonework, and I think it goes really well. It flows really well together.
Yeah, his work's really amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've actually heard from a couple people, including Bill, I think, who've done landscaping apprenticeships in Japan, that people over there are saying, why are you using Japanese plants? You should be using your own plants.
Yeah.
And, evoking your own landscape, because in Japan, a Japanese garden is mostly a native garden.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah. Well, shoot, at some point I want you to come to my house and give me some, we should talk about it. I could hire you and, you can give me some tips and we can move some things around. I know we were talking about boulder placement.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. I guess I always try and place boulders in odd numbers.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Okay.
It's kind of like putting, trees in a forest planting.
Uh-huh.
You kind of want to, especially when you're at lower numbers, it really matters. When you get above, I don't know, 6 boulders in a space, it kind of doesn't matter as much. I feel like you don't pick up on it. But
Yeah. What other tips do you have for boulder placement? I know you have a lot of experience with placing big stones.
I'm trying to think of how to express this simply. I think a lot of in patterns of scaling triangles, if that makes sense. So I'll go back a little bit. First, you want to identify really strong points of interest in your garden. So these are going to be points that you see out the window, of your main living spaces, and especially points that you see from multiple places. So those are going to be the most important points, and that might be a place where you put your key boulder, your biggest boulder. And then you can kind of place the other boulders according to that. And so that's when I start thinking about scaling triangles. So, try to always keep the distances between different boulders different and kind of on different planes. So they're not in a line. Yeah. And also use boulders at different sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
Well, you can use a lot of boulders in similar shapes too. That actually can be a really cool effect. But yeah, different sizes is definitely important. It's easy to get a bunch of boulders that are the same size, and then you just don't have that dynamic feeling when you put them together. So yeah, there's more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of a really basic thing. And you can kind of think of there's a really classic 3 boulder arrangement that you'll see in a lot of gardens where you have one large boulder, and then you kind of have a smaller boulder to each side, but they're at different distances.
So some asymmetry going on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so you can kind of take that same pattern and use it over and over again. So you might do that with 3 boulders, and you might take another one of those smaller boulders and do the same kind of arrangement with that. So you kind of just end up with, really, it's just try not to put things in a line or equally spaced.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking in my garden, I didn't want just groups of 3, so I have a group of 5, 1 over here, 3 over here, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah, you don't want to just make it look contrived. You just have arrangements of 3 everywhere. That'd be a little strange.
Maybe someday part of your business mix, and I know you're kind of doing this already, and you and Peter were just building some monkey poles to put trees on in Peter's garden, but I think it'd be really cool if you consulted or built bonsai Japanese gardens for clients in the future. That could be awesome.
Yeah, that could be fun. It does take a lot of I'm going to have to see how much time I have.
For sure.
It sounds super fun.
I'm just signing you up for things. And
yeah.
Whoa.
No, honestly, I've thought of that before. It would be really fun.
Yeah. No, I'm just spitballing ideas. Really, actually, I do think that it's really important to hone your skills and focus in on things as opposed to just be a super broad generalist. I think it's easy to fall into that trap.
I'm kind of realizing that. I've actually stopped doing really garden building stuff for the time being.
Yeah.
I'm mostly focusing on mostly just bonsai. And then when I do have time to work on a day off, I'll probably be doing pruning, because that's just I can go for a day, prune something, and then it's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're still doing a little bit of aesthetic pruning right now?
Yeah, that's right.
For landscaping trees?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's see. I'll probably edit this part out. Sometimes I do this and I'm like, what do we want to talk about next?
Oh, it's great that we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So I guess I'm curious, would you talk to me a little bit about moving stones really quick? And then I want to get back into bonsai. But I'm curious, you were talking to me about how you move stones, and I didn't really understand that this was common practice. But what tools do you use to move big boulders?
So I use a tripod hoist and rollers most of the time.
Okay. And can you kind of break down for someone that doesn't know what that is? What does it look like?
Yeah. So the tripod hoist, so I have the sort of the cheap version of it. Mine is 3 12-foot tall 4x4s that I join together to make a tripod and then hang a chain hoist from it.
Okay. Think like 3 sticks that basically form like a teepee shape.
Yeah. And then a pulley in the middle.
Okay. Sweet.
And then So the rollers that I use are actually, I got all this from Bill, by the way.
Yeah.
From his class. So the rollers, they're actually a industrial conveyor.
Okay.
So there's like the really heavy duty rollers that, and so what you do with those is you put them upside down on like a wooden track. So you take like 2x8s, just like thick lumber, and you make a track out of them wherever you want to go. And then you put the stone on those upside down.
Yeah.
So that the rollers are on the track, and then it's like almost frictionless when you push it.
Okay.
So generally the process is using the tripod hoist to pick up the boulder and put it on that whenever you're moving it a significant distance, and then you push it where you need to go. And then you pick it up again with the hoist, and then you position it exactly how you want.
Okay. So that is very cool. And I think that the tripod is actually something that I would like to get, not only for moving boulders, but I've been recently watching on YouTube these Japanese gardening channels.
Yeah, I watched those too.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
And so I saw these guys collect a big Japanese black pine in the landscape.
Yeah.
It was like, actually, it was growing out in a field, and they wanted to collect the tree, and it was very big. It was like, I don't know, probably 10 feet tall or so. Really heavy, big tree, and it was just growing in a field somewhere. They wanted to put it into a Japanese landscape, and so they used a tripod to collect it, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I've actually done that kind of thing. I mean, I've used to also use it to transplant trees for people sometimes.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's one of the things that, they come in super handy for. Also, we used one to repot one of the trees at the bonsai garden at Lake Merritt. There's a big Sierra juniper in front.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. That's rad.
Yeah. Bill came and brought his tripod, which is, he actually has one of these fabricated aluminum ones, which are so much nicer to use.
Because they're light but super strong.
Yeah, they're light, they're strong, they have adjustable legs. So they're just they're better in every way, really. But yeah, so we just, strapped it around the tree and, after raking around the sides, just pulled it up out of the pot with that, because this would have been super heavy.
So you're talking about the big juniper. Is it a California?
Oh, it is a California.
I
think I said it's a Sierra, but yeah, it's a California. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I did see pictures of it, and I think I saw like an initial styling at a GSBF convention of that tree, like many years ago.
I think someone was talking about that.
Okay,
so that's right. I think, yeah.
And this could be the wrong tree, but it was Harry Harrao, and I think his friends had collected it, and then they did an initial styling at an old GSBF convention, maybe 2007 or 8 or something like that. I can't remember. I have a horrible memory for things like that. But that's so cool. And that is a massive tree. That's like a landscape tree. And it sits in a bathtub, essentially. A bathtub bonsai pot. So you guys repotted that with Peter T. And you used a tripod. So essentially you lift the tree up with the tripod. You work on the roots, get the pot ready, put the soil in, put the pot back, and then put the tree back in. How was that experience for you guys?
It was good. I mean, it actually was a lot quicker than it seemed like it would have been. Yeah, getting it out was pretty easy with the tripod. I mean, Bill is a real expert with it, so he just immediately knew where to, put the straps, and it just balanced perfectly. We took it off we didn't have it in the air while we worked on it or anything. We put it on a cart and just did it like normal. I think we had 3 people helping, so it went pretty quick.
Great.
And then they rebuilt the deck underneath it while we did that, which took quite a while. So we actually just mostly made it around.
Yeah.
And then, strapped it back to the tripod and lowered it back into the pot.
Sweet.
It was basically a normal repot, just bigger.
What? Yeah, I feel like, I need a tripod now, an aluminum tripod now.
Yeah. Definitely, it's nice to have the aluminum ones.
Did he had that custom made for him, you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that you can buy them. They're not cheap. I think the big ones are like $6,000 or something. But there's a smaller one That's like a couple grand, I think. They're more expensive than they used to be. I wish I'd bought one right when I got into it.
Yeah.
Because they were cheaper.
Well, I'm thinking for collecting trees, I field growing a bunch of stuff. Right now, there was one ume trunk that I used my van to basically like slowly pull over. Like I would just barely move a little bit, and I tied it with a rope onto the back of my van, and then I would dig a little bit, and then I would like go another inch, and then I would dig under it. But like a tripod would have worked well for that. Or like we both are into collecting oaks, and I think that could maybe work well.
Yeah, I think it could. I think I told you I'm going collecting in a couple days. I was thinking about bringing I have a smaller tripod that's only 8 feet tall. I was considering bringing that. Have you ever used a come along when you're collecting?
Yes. So I wonder which one would work better.
Well, the nice thing about the come along is you don't need to bring the tripod structure for it. You can just like hook it up to a tree. It works better horizontally than the pulley, I think.
A come along, for anyone that doesn't know, is just basically, it's like a rope, or it's like a, what do you call it?
Yeah, like a strap.
A strap with a leverage, so you can crank and slowly attach it to something and then slowly pull it away. Yeah, I think that's the way to go for trees that are growing in dirt, is to use one of those or a tripod. I'm just not sure which one is better.
Yeah, the tripod would be better if you didn't have anything around to strap the come along to. Like, there's no other trees around.
Yeah.
Which
it can be hard to find. Like not every tree has another tree growing right next to it or by it. So
totally,
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I've used it to rip out shrubs a bunch in people's landscapes. It's great for that.
Yeah. So what kind of oaks are you collecting?
So far, just live oaks.
Nice. Me too. That's all I've collected. I'd like to try valley oak. Yeah. There's a spot I know about, but I've only done coast live oak so far.
Yeah, I think there are, I'm trying to remember now if there are valley oaks or blue oaks in the spot that I go. But I would like to collect those too. I hear they're more challenging because the taproots are deeper.
Okay.
But I would still like to try.
Yeah. Totally.
But I just didn't see any good specimens last time. So
yeah. So you collected what? Your last oak collecting trip was this February?
I think it was in December.
In December? Okay.
Yeah.
That was with Bob?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah, Bob Ricker.
Yeah. So, how many oaks did you guys collect?
We only got one each on that trip. Yeah. So in a couple of days, we're going back to that same spot. It's a property that someone in Bob's family owns, and we didn't understand exactly where the property lines were. So we didn't explore like 2/3 of the property. So
sweet.
We're like, we got to go back and find.
That's exciting. Yeah. What's your strategy for digging oaks? Like, can you describe kind of the process that you used? And do you think, was it easy?
It was not easy. So, but the one that I dug up last time, I used the come along for.
Okay.
So that was pretty straightforward. I'll probably use that more next time.
Yeah.
But the one that Bob dug up, which is a really, really nice big oak, we didn't use the come along. It was actually it would have been a good place to have the tripod.
Yeah.
It was in kind of an open area, but we basically trenched around it and then spent a very long time cutting a really thick taproot.
Yeah. That makes sense. Did you bring a Sawzall?
Yeah, Bob had a Sawzall and the battery died while we were doing that. So we switched to my handsaw.
Oh, super fun.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the handsaw is pretty good, but yeah, that taproot was like, it was funny. It wasn't that thick. It was like 2 inches thick, but it was like 6 inches wide or 8 inches wide or something. So, it's like we kept thinking we were through it. Oh no, it just keeps going. So.
Yeah. I would say I enjoy collecting trees up in the Sierra because I can get a pocket tree, and it's basically like you're extracting it from a pocket of granite where there's duff and soil growing, and you can just basically pop the tree out. I use these big pry bars, but coast live oak collecting is way more challenging than I expect. Yeah. I'm like, this will be easy, and then like 3 hours later, I'm like, whew, I'm just sweating and I'm so tired, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Yeah. But I haven't used a come along or tripod very often. Usually I just am trenching around, digging deep enough, cutting a lot of roots, and it's just a slow process for me. But I think I've never collected an oak that didn't live, which is really good. Like they seem to be very resilient, and you can cut off all the foliage if you. And I only do it. I do it in early spring before the push.
Okay.
So like just repotting time. When did you guys did January?
I think it was December.
Or December. Okay.
Yeah.
I think any time when they're dormant is probably fine.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see what happens with this, late spring, early summer collecting. If we find anything really good, probably going to come back in fall. But
yeah.
I feel like it's going to work. I mean, if they're really strong and healthy, I feel like oaks are very resilient. So.
Most definitely. Yeah. Yeah. If you find something really good, you can always just water and feed it and then come back.
That's true.
Next fall. I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah. If it's something that I
couldn't live with.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of yeah.
Risk it.
For sure. You have a really nice oak in Peter's garden.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that tree? And can you describe it a little bit?
Yeah, so it is a double trunk tree. It's a large tree. I can't remember exactly how tall it is. Large size, not extra large. But it has a really nice base and flare to it, which is one of the things that really attracted me to it, because that's not always easy to find in oaks. So yeah, that really nice big flare at the base and then two trunks. And then, we're in the process of basically growing all the main branches right now.
Yeah,
so,
that's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that tree too. I think it's going to be a really cool oak.
It's beautiful. I don't know who collected that one, or do you know this?
Yeah, it was a guy. I can't remember his last name, but his first name is Steve.
Okay.
He was a firefighter. And what he said is he would, anywhere time he'd go firefighting, he would collect acorns and then grow them. And so there's a few other trees that belong to him in the garden, but so a lot of them are 30, 40-year-old from acorn.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I thought that tree was. But when we repotted it, there was field soil and stuff in it. So I'm like, no, this tree might actually have been collected at some point. So I don't know exactly.
Interesting. I wonder if it was field soil from his field or field soil from the native environment,
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like clay, so.
Do you like oaks in more of a traditional bonsai style or more of an oak-like?
More of an oak-like style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate both styles, I would say, but I definitely think we're also lacking in oaks that look like oaks.
Yeah. I'd like to see more too.
Most definitely. Cool. Sweet. So let's see. I wanted to go, on the vein of oaks. Can you tell me anything that you've learned from Peter about oaks, and what is Peter's kind of philosophy with oaks?
Well, I'll start with the first part. Water them a bunch.
Okay.
Yeah, keeping them quite wet. Yeah. They're we don't really let them dry out all the way, which seems counterintuitive. I guess this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's even though they live in fairly dry places in a bonsai pot, they just love water. So
yeah, I did a podcast with Jonas one time, and I was trying to tell him a story, and I messed the story up. I was basically trying to explain that I feel like oaks need a lot of water, more than I anticipated, and I think I said that we were walking around my yard, but the story is that I was walking around Peter's garden, and he had an oak, which the soil looked wet to me. It looked very wet. It wasn't watered too long ago, but there was wilt already.
Yeah.
And that surprised me. And basically, obviously, wilt means it's not got enough water. And that was basically Peter watered it, and then it stood upright again.
Yeah. I similarly had a cork oak once that I brought to a workshop, and I think I just had it inside during the workshop. Maybe I left it outside in the shade during part of it, but I didn't really think it was going to dry out all the way. But one of the new pieces of new growth, it turned completely black and died.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I was going to cut it off anyway. But really demonstrated how quickly they can wilt when they don't have water. So.
Do you remember how many times a day Peter waters his oaks on average, or the range, in summer?
In summer, it's often like 4 times a day.
4 times a day?
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we ever watered them more than that. I don't. There might have been times where.
And these aren't shohin or anything like that. These are like medium, large,
mostly
extra large.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of them in pretty big, deep pots too. So yeah. Yep.
And is Peter cool with the oak style?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think he pretty much always does more of the oak style than he styles them. That's cool. I mean, if you look in his garden, I don't think any of them are in the traditional kind of pine style. So.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like that, so.
Yeah, I agree.
I think most people like it better, really.
Yeah. At least in California and the US.
Yeah.
I think it seems like that. Very cool. What's it like having Peter as a boss?
I mean, it's good. Peter's, I learned a ton from him. I think our communication styles mesh pretty well. He's very direct, which works well for me. I don't like trying to like guess what people want. So, Peter's, I think Peter's pretty nice as a bonsai teacher. But he doesn't mince words. If I like mess something up, he's going to tell me about it.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's the whole point, is that I'm here to be, instructed.
Most definitely. How does he teach you?
I mean, it's not that different than when you're taking a workshop from him. If there's a tree that he wants me to work on, he'll sit down and explain what to do on the tree to me, and then I do it to the best that I can, and then at the end get some feedback from him, which there's always some feedback.
Yeah.
So,
he's so talented. There's always feedback for me, and I've been working with him since like 2008 or 2007 or something like that. So
yeah. And I also, I get to watch him, and I'm often in the room when he's explaining things to clients, so I get to learn that way too. But yeah, I mean, the practice is super valuable. That's like, the instruction is totally necessary, but then like actually getting some repetition for me, like for like remembering and getting this stuff.
Direct feedback.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Did you ever consider going to Japan for an apprenticeship? And also, I've heard that in Japan, it's common for not so much teaching goes on, more so just telling you to work. And then you kind of have to take from observation and learn from watching the teachers work, as opposed to like, having things explained to you, which it seems like Peter does a lot of that with you.
Yeah, he does.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I have considered it. I haven't been able to figure out a way to really make it work for me with my living situation and everything. So yeah, I didn't consider it too seriously. The idea of doing it in more locally was definitely like really appealing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, personally, I think you're in a much better situation here than you would be in Japan with any bonsai professional. I think.
Yeah. I think about that sometimes, like am I actually getting a better education here than if I was in Japan? It's hard to say, but
I think so.
I mean, it's definitely nice having someone explain things to me.
Yeah. I just think Peter is such a top tier bonsai artist in the US.
Yeah.
You also, oaks, they barely work on oaks in Japan. I think there are oak varieties, but it's kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I mean, Peter's got a bunch of oaks. He's got all these native species that you're going to get your hands on all the time. And he's just at the highest level in the game in the US. And so
I totally agree.
And he's a nice guy and very intelligent and
a very good teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I think there's something to be said for, when I finish my apprenticeship, I'm not going to like go back home and have to figure out how to do everything in my environment.
Yeah.
I'm already here. I might stay fairly local to here. And so I can just like copy everything.
Yeah.
Piecemeal almost.
Yeah. Do you think there's something that you want to specialize in? Kind of going back to that earlier vein we were talking about, like, deciduous or a conifer, grafting or trunk growing.
Yeah. I think development and refinement, I'd like to have a mix of different trees in my garden. I mean, I wouldn't mind if there might be a higher proportion of maybe oaks and redwoods or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see about redwoods. They take a lot of time.
But they do. Do you like redwoods a lot too as well?
I do. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. Cool. Let's see. I guess I'm curious, is there anything that Peter has taught you which maybe has changed your view since you started with him?
Change my view, like in as far as like bonsai practice technique. Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of hard just to pick one thing. I mean, I think the biggest thing studying with Peter is the nuance in all the different techniques. You know, decandling black pines isn't just like you pick a date and you cut all the candles off. There's a lot more to consider. You know, same with defoliation. It's like, we're not just cutting all the leaves off the tree. Like we might cut some of the leaves off. We might cut, you know, just one of two maple leaves off, depending on the tree. So there's just, you know, all of Peter's technique is like really, really refined and really specific to the tree that he's working on. So I think that might be the biggest thing. Also, just the concept of cutting to a silhouette. You know, Peter talks about that all the time. I'm sure you know. It seems very intuitive, but just, it really has a big effect, I think, on the speed that trees develop. Because you're not like losing branches because you're cutting them back too far. I think I was doing a little bit of that before, you know, thinking like, oh, I need division in this branch. I want it here. I'm going to cut it here. But if that's too far in your canopy, you can't do it. So you have to cut back. You know, if you want to get a low branch division close to the trunk, you have to cut back the whole top in order to do that. So I don't think I had that concept really before. At least not in such a concrete way.
His cutting back to a silhouette, I think that's a very important concept. And basically, it's been cool to watch him cut back to a very small silhouette. And then over time, it slowly builds out and out.
That's right.
Over many years and many applications of working on the tree. And that's really how you build out a tree. I think also you're in a fantastic spot because Peter really builds trees. In Japan, some of the bonsai nurseries really focus on, I mean, there's so many trees that are already showable, or they're in the window where they could be shown. And so it's really just refinement work, whereas you're getting a wide variety and a lot of making trees. But then, hey, like Jeff Stern's got a whole bench of refined trees that you get to also work on. So you're getting like a very broad, you know, amount of knowledge.
Totally. Yeah, and it's really cool to see, you know, like for junipers, for example, there's just like, we have, you know, some of the shows that like, some of the trees that like Jeff has put in the expo are here in the garden. So very refined trees. And then there's also examples of trees on every stage, you know, every step of the way on the way to that here. So we have like raw yamadori, and then there's like trees with grafts that we just started. And then there's trees that have, you know, the grafts have taken and we're doing the first wiring on those. So it's cool to, you know, get to see that and be like, oh, wow, this is going to turn into this amazing thing.
Yeah. Do you like grafting native junipers? Is that your opinion? Would you graft them or would you not graft them?
I would graft them. The main reason I would graft them is because a lot of people come in here to Peter's workshop with nice native trees and they say, I wish I had grafted this tree 10 years ago. I keep hearing people say that. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to default to grafting everything for now. If something changes my mind, you know, I'm open to using the native foliage. But yeah, I think that, you know, you just get such a bigger sense of scale with the native foliage. And I think, to me, I don't feel like that much is lost because you know, like, I feel like the foliage is not the main characteristic that we appreciate in junipers. It's more about the contrast of deadwood and the live vein and the twists and the trunk and all that. To me, it's like, I think more is gained.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Cool. What do you want to grow? Like what types of trees, what styles, if you got into that?
I think I would probably just pick a couple things. I've thought about growing, well, I mean, I have started growing a few actually. I think some native deciduous stuff would be cool to grow. Maybe white alders.
White alder, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know that one.
Oh yeah, they're very common, like a tree around rivers, like riparian areas.
Okay, I've seen alder before. I know in the Pacific Northwest they collect
Oh yeah, they have
alder?
like a lot of red alder. It looks
Yeah.
exactly the same.
Okay.
Like I don't know how to tell the difference, to be honest, between
Got
white
it.
and red. But
Okay. White alder. Nice.
I mean, that's just kind of one that I happen to have picked up a couple nursery stock early on and started growing and propagating, and they just seem to grow super well here, and they get big fast.
yeah.
But yeah, I think there's potential with other deciduous species too. I guess I'd like to pick some native, easy to grow, just something that is like really practical, that grows really well, that is very available.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think buckeyes would be super cool to use. I think.
Do those grow well? I wonder if they grow well in a container.
Yeah, they do. I've
Ah.
experimented. I don't have like one with a good trunk, but I've experimented with them. They're really easy to grow from the buckeyes that,
Yeah.
fall.
Don't they have big leaves?
They have big leaves, but they reduce very easily, in my experience. Which everyone seems to like be very worried about the big leaves on them. But yeah, I mean, I have one that I put in a tiny pot and the leaves are like 1 inch. And I think if you just work on them like a month or maybe 2 months, depending on before you would do like maples, but do similar work, I think they're really, really similar to maples. They have the opposite leaves. They respond to defoliation, but they go dormant. I don't know if you know about them. They go summer dormant, like truly summer dormant, not just like they slow down, but they will completely lose their leaves in like June or July.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you water them, they will not wake up.
Interesting.
And then they wake up in like December or January.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know
But
much about them.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going on a tangent here, but I think I want to experiment more, but if they seem like they're promising, I might try to grow some of those. And like oaks, I'd like to grow oaks too.
Yeah. Nice. That'd be cool.
I think pot-grown oaks are really nice.
Yeah.
Like, collected oaks are cool, but I feel like some of these pot-grown oaks that have like been around for decades are really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I'm growing some pot-grown oaks, and I'm
cool.
putting some of them in the field, but only after many years of, 6 to 8 years of growing them in a pot. And I did, so I have like a bunch of native coast live oaks on my property, and I've been collecting acorns. My last house had one too, and so there's just all these oak seedlings, so I would just snip off the acorn or below, I can't remember, but I would get seedling cuttings essentially, and they would produce nice nabari, which is great.
Yeah.
Rather than getting a big taproot. So I've got some that I'll have to show you in the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's like why it's so cool to grow them in pots, so you can like develop that nabari.
Yeah.
Like so many collected oaks have the reverse taper right before they go into the ground, which is not great for bonsai.
Yeah. What do you think for coast live oak? Do you think bark really matters to you?
I like it. I kind of generally like barky species, I think. It shows age. Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with bark on them, honestly. It seems like, have you seen bark form on the ones that you've grown from acorn?
So not like very, very lightly, unfortunately. Yeah,
Okay.
It's more like that smooth, whitish, grayish color.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I was looking at Mike Pastello's oak that he won the PBE award with is in Peter's garden right now. And that thing has fantastic bark. And so it's got to be a combination of age and genetics. But what I should have really done is sourced out trees with really good bark, got those acorns, did the seedling cutting technique or acorn cutting technique, and went with those ones, I think. If I really put time and effort into it. I was lazy. I just took them off.
That's smart. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I do think like sourcing good genetics is really important.
Yeah, and they definitely do it in Japan.
I think what I really should do, what I should do, and I need to take my own advice, is do that. So source out really good bark characteristic trees, get the acorns, sprout them, do the seedling cutting, but do way more than I think I want to keep. So let's say if I want 10, let's start with 100 or 120.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a few years down the road, just do a massive culling and keep the ones that look the best in terms of nabari, structure, and bark formation, which that might be tough because it would take a while early with the bark. Okay. I don't know.
It's great though. Yeah. Like I think, we should be doing more of that kind of stuff. Yeah. If I start another batch of oaks, I'm going to do that too. Now that you said it.
Or maybe you could air layer a piece or take cuttings off of a oak with nice bark.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Have you known anyone who's air layered oaks?
I believe I have heard people say that that they have air layered coast live oaks. I think it's
Okay.
more challenging. I'm pretty sure Julian told me he did
Okay.
down in Southern California. I should ask him again. I know he's done some really interesting things. Have you seen some of the things he's done?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he took branches and wired them down so they touch the soil.
Oh, I saw that.
And they rooted, and then they grow up. Like in nature, they do that.
The ground layer. Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. I know he's thread grafted oaks successfully.
Okay.
Which we're doing some of that with trident maples today, but with oaks, you can do it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've asked quite a few people about air layering oaks, and I haven't met anyone who's actually done it, but everyone is like, I think it would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't have a need to do it now, but yeah, I mean, if you could air layer like a branch with good bark,
yeah,
that would be...
Air layering, I feel like, is challenging. Like the older the tree or the older the piece, the more challenging the air layer, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But still, you have a great idea. You could do like a young portion of a highly barked oak.
Yeah, of an older tree. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm curious to look into more what makes them bark up, because sometimes in nature, it seems like they don't need to be that old to get the bark. Like, the last oak I collected has some pretty decent bark on it, and it was like, I mean, it couldn't have been more than 10 or 15 years old. I
Yeah.
don't think it was very old, but I was talking with Peter a little bit about this, and he was saying that it doesn't seem like they form bark in pots.
Interesting.
But I don't know.
Huh.
I think we, as a community, we need to figure, we'll all pay attention and figure it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm sure genetics plays a big factor in bark.
Totally.
Cool. Well, I guess I'm just curious, like, is there anything else? I know you think about oaks a lot. Is there anything else that you maybe daydream about with bonsai?
I mean, I do daydream a lot about building my own garden.
That's cool.
Yeah, something I think about a lot.
What do you think about with that?
Lately, I've been thinking about trying to create like a very tightly organized space. Maybe something that's a little bit smaller than most people would think of. I'm not sure exactly how big that is, but then, really spending a lot of time making the landscaping really nice and also super low maintenance.
Yeah.
And then, incorporating lots of stonework.
Do you have the stone picked out in your mind, like the types and stuff?
No, it'll depend on where the property is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
What
Makes
I want
sense.
to do with it. But I mean, it'll probably be either granite or moss rock. It's
Yeah.
mostly what is available. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Granite would be cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove to Fresno to get my granite boulders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I wanted it to feel like the Sierra, which is my happy place.
Yeah. Yeah.
They call it moss rock, but it's just granite boulders with moss on them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny how there's so many, like, moss rock is something you can get at any stone yard, but it's like not
Totally.
always the same kind of rock.
Totally. They're just
That's
like,
cool. It's probably like pretty inexpensive, I imagine.
it is. Yeah. And Fresno is very close to the Sierra, so they, get it right from the source, and it was way cheaper. I checked locally too, and it was like 5 times as much.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a big disparity in
Oh, for
the
sure.
price of stone. But yeah, it can be
Yeah.
really cheap if you find the right stone yard.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Is there any other topics that you think about that you would like to chat about?
I mean, yeah. Bonsai stuff in general, it's a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Glad we're talking about oaks. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing is immediately jumping to mind.
Yeah. No worries. Any other goals that you can think of, short or long? Like, do you set more short-term goals for yourself, or?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm really focused on just trying to do, trying to execute bonsai techniques like consistently at a high level. And then once I can do more of that, I want to start, trying to get faster at everything. I think it's hard to get faster when you're not doing something really well. Or if you try to learn to do something quickly before you're really good at it, you kind of end up handicapping yourself a little bit. So those are kind of, some of my goals. I also do want to get some really nice trees. I have a few that I think are pretty good that I have now, but yeah, I'd like to get more.
Yeah.
Both things that are, more refined and good project trees. So
sweet.
yeah.
Nice. And a lot more collecting, would you say, to get those trees?
Yeah, I mean, I can't do as much collecting as I'd like to,
Yeah.
just because of time. But yeah, I think that's going to be for the project tree part of it. Yeah,
Sweet.
but I would like to get I'd love to get something. I'd like to have a fairly refined deciduous tree, maybe something that's only 5 to 10 years out.
Yeah.
Which is not that long for a deciduous tree. Yeah, that. But then collecting too. Definitely, I'd like to get more stuff.
That's great. Very nice. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you always helping me out in Peter's garden, unload trees and, help me on my trees sometimes and everything. I think Peter's really lucky to have you.
Oh, thanks.
And I think you guys work well together and I'm excited for your time here. I think you're in the best spot you could be at. I really mean that. And it'll be cool. Maybe we can check in again later in your apprenticeship and chat again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I feel super lucky to be here working with Peter. Yeah, thanks for interviewing me.
For sure.
This was fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.